All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the channel. Welcome to Rant and Chill. You know what I like to do here on this channel. In this video, we're talking about Ozzy Osbourne and the fact that he did pass away. A legendary rock star. He paved the way for a lot of great bands, a lot of great artists, both domestic and even abroad. Now, while I was not the biggest Ozzy fan, like I didn't have a full-on collection, but it was through stumbling upon Ozzy that opened me up to a whole other world of music. You see, when I was younger, probably, I want to say I was in junior high school. I think a junior high. And I stumbled upon Ozzy Osbourne in my dad's stash of music. And in that stash, he had a lot of great artists like ZZ Top. Yeah, ZZ Top's one of them. And, great band. Awesome band, right? Of course. And then there was Ozzy Osbourne. Now, my dad was not really a fan of Ozzy. My dad, while he did have that there, he wasn't sure why he even had that. His taste is more like Talking Heads. You know what that group is. Okay. Yeah, his taste like that. Maybe Prince, stuff like that. He did like ZZ Top a lot. If it's like bluesy and rocky, he can do that. Anyway, but I found that in my dad's stash of music there. And like that CD, it was a Diary of a Madman. That CD was so amazing. All the way from the first song to the last, which is Diary of a Madman. And like the opening track, Over the Mountain, like, man, just the way that track starts. If you have not heard that, of course you guys have heard that. You guys have heard of it, I'm sure. If not, check it out. Great opening track. It grabbed me immediately. I was like, what is this? This is insane. This is good. All I just remember is being like, oh, wow, this is cool. This is so cool. I've not heard of anything like this. Prior to this, I had been listening to some ZZ Top, and that was really good. The way it worked, kind of, I guess when you're a kid, like for me anyway, I looked through my dad's music, and if there was something that grabbed you, for sure, I'll take it. But they had such a huge collection of cassettes and CDs. I'll take it and be listening to that for like weeks, maybe months or whatever, and I'll be satisfied. But then I'll be like, what else is in this treasure trove, in this drawer, in these cabinets? What else can I find? And I'll find something, and I'll hang on to it and consume it and just be like all about it. And then I stumbled Diary of a Madman by Ozzy. And that was so much of a huge discovery for me. Because like that was definitely one of those discoveries where like my curiosity was definitely satisfied. My curiosity was paid off. It paid off well, right? Because we're talking about an album that was like really, really good. I don't know if it's the best. I have not heard of all Ozzy albums, okay? But I could say I have a pretty personal connection with that album there. The tracks are amazing. Believe, or that amazing bass line? Oh, man, the bass opening, so cool. So you had a very awesome intro right from the first song. Then you have you got a bass intro in that song. Then you get like a drum intro in Little Dolls. And of course, Flying High Again. You got to talk about Flying High Again. Very, very awesome track. When I was a kid, I didn't really understand what he was talking about. I thought maybe he was talking about like a plane. I always thought the song was about him on a plane or something. Until the DARE program. I didn't know anything about drugs until a cop came into my school and told me about them and told me how amazing they are, but not to do them, say no. And that's why the DARE program is a huge failure, but that's not what this video is about. And for those in Europe that do not know what that is, imagine an anti-drug program where they actually spend a good portion of it telling you how cool the drugs are, but say no to them. Yeah. Really giving conflicting messages there. Yeah. Anyway, but yes, my curiosity for music and discovering Ozzy Osbourne because of that was paid off so well. I have many fond memories listening to this album, Diary of a Madman. Well, I was at the age where I'd be hanging out with my cousin, and we'd be sketching and stuff. My drawings always sucked compared to his. He was a better artist. So I'd try to compete with him on that. We'll be at my grandmother's house listening to the music, but my grandmother didn't have a compact disc player, a CD player. Her stereo in the it wasn't the den. It was the dining room, and it connected to like a second living room. It was very cool little setup. But her stereo was actually, and some of you guys might like this, her stereo consisted of a record player, like an old school record player that I wish we still had in hindsight, right? And then a cassette player that was separate, but it was hooked up to the speakers and all that. So to play it on her system, which because I spent a lot of time at my grandma's house a lot because my parents worked full time and all that, I needed a babysitter, so I went over there a lot. And we got like those cassettes that you hook up to your CD player, or compact disc, Walkman or whatever, and as it plays, it transfers the signal to a cassette that's connected to it, and there you have it. So I did that. I'm spending a lot of amazing years listening to, this album definitely on repeat a lot. Okay. Of course, later on, other discoveries would be made. Like I would find, what was the next big find after that? Well, at my dad's stash, it was more ZZ Top. It was like different stuff there. He did have like the ZZ Top greatest hits. They had the song She Got Me Under Pressure, which I was like, whoa, this song's really, really cool. Let's see. I think the next big find was when my dad brought home all these CDs, like in someone's like a CD holder in their car. And his task was to like make a mix CD because we had a burner. A lot of people didn't have them. So he was doing that for a favor for someone at work. And what ended up happening though is I discovered that whole thing, and I looked through the CDs, and I found what was it? Oh, it was a lot of stuff actually. There was a Machine Head, and then there was Megadeth. Yeah, Megadeth was there. And what was the next one? No, Megadeth was not there, but Rob Zombie. Hellbilly Deluxe Rob Zombie, okay? And through that, I would be curious about White Zombie and all that stuff. But what I'm saying here is like, I think like Ozzy is one of those artists that I discovered through being like so curious about music and all that. And because it paid off so well and being like wowed by this amazing album, it like further fed me and drove me to like check out other bands and other artists and other like I knew a metal CD when I saw it, or kind of like I was like like you see it and you're like, oh, what is this? Especially like a CD like Rob Zombie, that's gonna stand out. It's like, whoa, this dude looks like a zombie. Let's check this out real fast. My dad found out later and was like, it's kind of like devil stuff. But we weren't really church people, but I don't know why he was curious about that anyway. And I think because of that, long story short, as you guys know, I eventually would discover bands like BABYMETAL and Love Bites. Now, Baby Metal, technically, I discovered not through as being a reaction channel. I discovered Baby Metal like on my own one time. I had a job where I had to drive a lot, and I had to take this emergency drive at night for a very emergency matter. And I was very curious about J Metal, and I checked that out. There was a J Metal playlist, and then I discovered Baby Metal through the live performance of Catch Me If You Can. That's right, with the Kami Band. And that was like, whoa, that was amazing. That was amazing. So I think finding Ozzy helped me eventually find Baby Metal, is what I'm saying. I know it's a huge leap and there's like a bunch of different bands there, but I mean, maybe I was just very curious anyway, you know, maybe, but I would like to say discovering, like, especially this Diary of a Madman, dude, this album is really good. And I really love these tracks, man. They're really, it's great stuff. And I think really being wowed by that would just further drive my curiosity, because each time it was paying off, you know? Like another example, my first forte in the Japanese metal actually wasn't that night I discovered Baby Metal. One point in time, I would go to anime conventions. I was in high school, and yeah, the anime stuff was fine, but I was curious. I was curious about the music. I saw these albums here, these CDs, and one had like these wooden beads in it. I don't know what they're for. Gentlemen, I don't know what they're for. There was not a string attached to these beads, and it said Duran Gray. I was like, what is this? I didn't get a chance to preview it. I didn't know anything about it, and I got it. And when I listened to it, it was something very heavy, very chaotic, and very like very angry in its vocals. But there was an interesting style with it. Maybe it's because of the Japanese and how like it sounded very foreign to me. But I just liked what you heard there. It was very different. Yeah. I wish I could tell you what album it was. I think it was, I don't know. It was kind of like a brown color and had the wooden beads in the CD case. If you know what album that is, it was that one. But all this, I think, I have to say, it's because of Ozzy. I mean, and it was either Ozzy or ZZ Top, but Ozzy is definitely one of them. So, you know. And of course, he's a rock legend, you know? Well, with that said, you let me know if, you know, what it was like for you stumbling upon Ozzy and what it did for you, if it led you on a path of curiosity. Wow. Anyway, I'll take it easy and have a good one.